Hello and welcome one and all to another episode of the Gamers of the Lost Spark podcast. This is episode 7 on the 24th of June 2015. I'm Darren Whittam and with me, as always, is the other Spark. It's Anthony Chesson. Say hi, Anthony.
Hello. Hi. How you doing, Darren?
I'm alright. How are you? How's your week been?
My week has been absolutely fantastic. It's been really good. I'll tell you one of the reasons why it's been really good. Gaming coming out on a Tuesday. New gaming on a Tuesday. So we had Batman Arkham Knight released on Tuesday. Now, I know we have a reason why it all comes out on a Friday in the UK, but actually getting a new game on Tuesday was amazing. You know, for me, in the week, 2 days where I can really kind of game in the evenings are Tuesday and Thursday. So getting a brand new game on a Tuesday is just fantastic.
Wow, yeah, I like a Tuesday release. I mean, Friday's good because it's Friday, isn't it? But it is awkward if you're sort of going out and then you sort of could be dead on the Saturday, and it's a bit of a pain because you've only just recovered and then it's Monday and it's like, oh dear. But yeah, Tuesday's good, and it's Tuesday usually to align with. Does that align with US release dates? Do they usually?
It does,
get it on Tuesday?
Yeah. No, absolutely. The US and Canada and other countries, they get it on Tuesday. It's something to do with marketing strategies and for people to get their wares out in a store. Eurogamer have a fantastic article about why games are released on a Friday. I think they did it a couple of years ago, and it was a really interesting read.
So, what was the conclusion? What is that? Why do we get games released on a Friday? Is it because because in Britain that's just the way things are done?
Absolutely, it's just I think it's got something to do with the way that we do our tills and making sure and recalling all of the information about what's been bought, and also about putting wares out on shelves and things like that for the weekend. So in the UK, it's deemed that we do all of our shopping at the weekend, and in the US, it's kind of Tuesday ramping up for the weekend. I mean, in the world that we live in now with digital media, I think we should get it on Tuesday. I don't think there should be that wait from Tuesday to Friday.
Yeah, no, I quite agree. Tuesday's good, as long as it's not the Tuesday after the Friday. As long as it's the Tuesday before the Friday, I'm happy. If it's the Tuesday after the Friday, then no.
I mean, it's possibly one of the only industries now that's not in line. A lot of movies are out at the same time, unless it's a huge blockbuster, and then sometimes they want to make sure that the stars are in the right place. But apart from that, there isn't a music comes out at the same time. It's an interesting one, but I was happy that on Tuesday I got Arkham Knight, so I kind of had a digital download on the Xbox One, so I was ready to play when I finished work. So I actually kind of fired up the Xbox One. I was working from home, so I fired up the Xbox One at lunchtime. There was a 3.8 gig day one patch for Arkham Knight, so okay. I downloaded that, making sure everything was okay. Bought the season pass, made sure that was installed, so when 5 o'clock came, I could just boot up Arkham Knight and just really enjoy it. Yeah,
that is cool. So was that a digital download? Did you say then? Yeah. It was released through digital on Tuesday.
It was released. It was released digital and also in stores on Tuesday. It was a worldwide release, which is good because Rocksteady Games are a UK gaming company. So if it's going to be released on that date, it's good to see that it's worldwide.
Yeah, absolutely. Did the patch come ready installed, or did it download and then the patch downloaded and then you installed the patch? If you see what I'm getting at, or did it just because you'd ordered it digitally, the patch is there? Did it sort of seamlessly just install and it was ready to run with the patch included?
Well, I downloaded the game because when you buy digital games on Xbox One, you can download them before. So it says this game's ready to play at midnight on X date. So I did that. So I'd already had the game downloaded. When I fired it up for the first time, so it says you can play it, clicked on the button, it just said there's an update for this title, and off it goes, and then the title just started to update.
Yeah, I was going to say it'd be nice if the patch was all ready, but I think they wait till the very, very last minute to get these patches available. I think they're fixing issues until the last possible moment, which is why probably you can't get it ready downloaded along with your game, but that's cool. So you got that. What a fantastic surprise! Did you wait up till did you stay up on Monday night till midnight for it, or not?
No, I didn't. I'm getting old, and I had the E3 week last week, so I kind of went to bed. I had a tough couple of weeks of work, so I went to bed just knowing that I'll be kind of getting up, because I knew there was a patch, so I thought I'd let the patch install at lunchtime, and then 5 o'clock finish work on the dot, which is something I never do. And then I can then I can just get gaming. So that's what I did, and it was fantastic. I'll talk a bit more about it later. But it was absolutely fantastic. So that was one of the things that happened to me this week. The other one was actually kind of a fantastic thing. One of my friends on Twitter just forwarded a link to a charity, and this charity is called Get Well Gamers. Their Twitter handle is @GWGUK. And what Get Well Gamers are, they're a charity where you can donate video games and consoles to hospitals across the UK. So what I did was I kind of had a look in my trunk of games that I'm not playing. I just had a look in there to see what I could kind of bundle together. And I sort of had my PS3. I've got two PS3s. I've got like a brand new slim one, and I've got the old piano one. So what I did was I donated that, and also a stack load of games, including kind of Disney Infinity, the first Disney Infinity game. So I just kind of donated a whole stack of those. And the guy came around, he kind of picked it up, we was having a chat, and he was just saying that it's going to a local hospital near me, in a children's ward. So it's when children have like long stays at hospital. It just gives them something to play with, and it gives them something to game with. So I gave them some really good Wii U games, Xbox 360 games, PS3 games, and I also gave them a PS3 with some joypads as well. So that felt good. It was quite good for the soul.
Oh, I bet it was. Yeah, what a great charity! What a fantastic idea. I mean, if it's not bad enough being in hospital anyway at any age, but especially when you're young. They're so boring places, aren't they? There's nothing to do. But if you went into a ward and they're like, we've got this and that, we've got a PS1, PS2, PS3, etc., and some games to play. At least that's going to help, pass the time instead of just, lying there thinking of your operation or whatever it's going to be that you're in hospital for. So what a great thing.
Absolutely. So I didn't even know about this. I didn't know about this charity. And,
how did you find out about it?
It was a friend of mine. It was a friend of his is now a volunteer for Get Well Gamers, and so he just sent the link to me via Twitter and just said, you might have some stuff available. So I just hooked up with the guy, kind of had a couple of messages backwards and forwards, and just said, look, I've got this. Do you want this? And he came around, picked it up, and like I say, it's going to a children's hospital not far from me.
Oh, brilliant! You gaming philanthropist, you. That's fantastic. So, are they sort of just in your area, or are they countrywide?
No, they have. I'll put a link to their website in the show notes of this show. But they have, I think they're linked up with about 35 hospitals in the UK, ranging everywhere from Birmingham, Dartford, London, Wigan, Brighton, all over the place. So they're Wales and Scotland as well. So they have representation throughout the country that will come and pick up anything that you've got, really.
Wow, what a great charity. I'm going to go into my storage area and see what I've got. I think I've got a DS that I could get rid of, So,
oh wow,
that'd be really cool. A spare PS3 because my PS3 is in bits because it did a yellow light of death, and it needs the motherboard reflowing. I mean, if they can reflow the motherboard, they're welcome to it, but I'm sure they can't be bothered with that sort of thing. But I'll have a look because I've got a few boxes full of old stuff. I'm going to feel guilty though because there's some stuff I'm not going to want to get rid of. But there is definitely some stuff that I can. That I'd rather be used than just gather dust. So that's just such a nice thing to do. So yeah, you got that warm fuzzy glow, did you?
I did indeed. When I handed them over, I was more than happy. Of just because a slim PS3 is not going to get you much at game, and the kids that can play with that now, they're going to get so much more fun out of it than I would. So it was So I said to the guy, when the Xbox One backward compatibility kind of really kicks in, and I've covered all of those titles that I still want to play, then I'll have a couple of Xbox 360s as well for them. So we're just kind of keeping in touch on Twitter and kind of following each other doing that sort of thing. But yeah, so it was a really cool charity.
Yeah, that really is. That's really, really cool. Well done, mate. That's just so nice. It's so nice. It makes me think I've got to do something now to
the pressure's on.
I've got to equal that. Yeah, how am I going to follow that?
You're going to run a marathon now for them. It's like, I'll tell you what, I'll run a marathon.
Yeah.
I'll write a game for you.
Yeah, I'm going to row. I'm going to row around the world and get sponsored for you guys now. But yeah,
you're going to play Spelunky for 24 hours without food.
Oh wow, that's no change though. It's no change to my normal life.
That's just your Saturday, isn't it?
It is really. Yeah, it's from Friday night till Sunday morning. That's me.
So, what have you been playing this week?
I've been playing The Witcher 3 still enjoying it. I sort of with E3 and whatnot, and just general life in general. I haven't had that much time for gaming, so my Witcher 3 gaming has been very sporadic, which has been quite annoying. It's a game that, you can't just play for 20 minutes and half an hour, but they're the only slices of time that I've had, so I've been playing it in a rather fragmented fashion this last week, which is annoying because you don't get as drawn into the quests. And so when I have been playing it, I've started to skip a bit of dialogue not on the main story quest, but I've been doing some quests, and I'm just like, skip, I haven't got time for this. I want to just get there, hunt the monster, and get some gaming in. So I haven't had a chance to allow myself to get as immersed as I usually do. And as for wandering around at a snail's pace, which I like to do, and I've mentioned before on the podcast, that's out of the window as well. But yeah, so Witcher 3 as much as I can. Made some progress. Geralt's basically looking for people in this game. He's looking for Ciri, and he's looking for his friend Dandelion the Bard, who is regaling the tale, and he regaled the tale in The Witcher 2. The narration it's all written as if it's being regaled from the Bard telling a story from Dandelion, his Geralt's friend. I don't know about The Witcher 1 because I never played it. I found Dandelion, so that's a kind of a key moment, I think. So I found Dandelion, and he has filled in a little bit more of the blanks as to where Ciri, Geralt's sort of surrogate daughter, may be. Pretty sure I'm absolutely anywhere near the end of it. So yeah, The Witcher 3, played some Spelunky. I streamed it a few times. Interestingly enough, I've harped on about Spelunky a lot and how hard it is to actually complete it the hard way. I'm completing it the hard way. I'm sort of acing the game probably 1 in 5 times every time I play it, which is really good, and I'm sort of like, ain't no thing. Maybe I'm going to go up against the big boys and start doing an eggplant run or an aubergine run. I doubt it, but it's a shame it's not more popular. I sort of miss it now, because if I'd have got there maybe when Spelunky was really popular, I could have got a lot more viewers on my Twitch feed. But I do like to stream that, and I think it lends itself well to streaming on Twitch, because you can sort of just glance at it. I don't speak though. I do it through my PS4. I don't have the mic or the comments on. And so I just play it, and then if I do see that I get a comment, then I turn like my iOS device on, like my phone or my tablet, and I'll reply using those. Or actually, I'll get Claire to reply because I'm too busy. I'm concentrating. Can you reply to that? So a bit of Spelunky, yeah. And also, talking of iOS, I was playing Fallout Shelter that got announced, after the Bethesda conference. Yeah, Fallout Shelter from Bethesda, a little precursor to Fallout 4. A resource management game where you are the overseer of a vault of your choosing within the Fallout universe, and it's a really good little game. I really like it. Have you had a chance to have a go on it, Anthony?
I have indeed, yeah. No, I had a couple of commutes last week, so and the great thing about it is you don't need to be connected to the internet in order to play. So I've been playing that on the train, and I'm really enjoying it. It's really good fun, isn't it? It's absolutely superb. It's quite satisfying when you start getting bottle caps and you start pressing the screen and you're kind of collecting them. I find that quite satisfying.
Yeah, it is good. The sound effects and things like ka-ching for the bottle caps and the sort of like boom for the lunch boxes that you get. I haven't really cared about an iOS game for a long time. I think Threes was probably the last iOS game that I really gave a hoot about. But I'm liking Fallout Shelter a lot, and I've invested some time in it because me and my son were playing it. I sort of, when I got it, he's like, "What's this?" And I said, "Oh, it's this new game. It's really cool. Should we do it together?" And we went through the tutorial, so he sort of learned it as well. So we were keeping an eye on it, and I built quite a nice vault. And I got it's not really levels, but I got like two layers of rooms, all nice, and everything was working tickety-boo. I was getting my energy and food and water. They were all just working well, and I was getting enough money to build extra stuff. I'd got lots of guys to sort of bump uglies in the bedrooms, so I was getting lots of pregnant ladies, and more dwellers were coming. The dwellers were coming, and it was great. I think I got about 30 dwellers, which opened a radio room. That was sort of where I got to. But I'm finding, as much as I have enjoyed it, that it keeps crashing on me.
Oh, really?
I'm playing it on an iPad 3.
Right.
And I've been on the internet and had a look, and there's a lot of concern that it's crashing a lot of the time, which is a bit. Well, it's a bit of a concern. I can sort of understand it if I was playing on an iPhone 4, but because people were saying, "Oh, it's the resources. It's such a such a complex game." But then I think Infinity Blade played pretty well on an iPad 2. And less visually, it's not that striking to me, unless it's all the maths underneath of the management. But yeah, it's crashed about 3 times. I've lost everything, and it's crashed on this game. This was the furthest I'd got, and it's crashed again. And so when I tap on the icon to load the game, it just opens with the sort of splash screen, and then goes black and takes me back to the sort of home of my iPad. And it's really upsetting because all my dwellers are there waiting for me, suspended in limbo. They're saying, help, we want some food, we want some more guns and stuff, and I can't get to them. Now, I believe that if I uninstall the game and reinstall it, then it will work again, but I won't have my vaults because it doesn't save anywhere. And it's just annoying. And the concern is, I didn't buy any lunch boxes. That's the only sort of DLC you can get, the only in-app purchase that's offered in the game. You can buy the lunch boxes, and they're really cool with the things that they give you. I mean, I also, as well as not being bothered with an iOS game, I never buy stuff, but I was actually tempted to buy a few lunch boxes. But if you'd invested a lot of money in lunch boxes in your vault, and then you just lost it, it's pretty bad, and I'm not the only one getting it. So it sounds that you haven't had that problem. What are you playing on it? Or playing it on, I should say.
No. Well, I haven't had that problem yet. I mean, I probably haven't put as much time in as you, but I mean, I'm playing on an iPad Air 2, so I've got the latest model of an iPad, and I haven't had any problems at all. Yeah. Look at me.
Look at you. Yeah.
I've got and I'm like, but I haven't had any problems with that at all. So it may be down to the kind of version of the iPad, but I mean, they are releasing it on Android very soon. So maybe with that may come a patch for iOS as well. So maybe they're going to update it, because stuff gets updated in the App Store all the time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So maybe they'll you normally see minor enhancements for bug fixing. I kind of have a feeling that this studio was doing a lot to try and get that out for that E3 conference.
Yeah, there'll have been a lot of pressure to get that out for as soon as they said, this is live. They needed it ready for that day, and I can understand that. So hopefully, because there has been a bit of an outcry from the Android guys not feeling the love from Bethesda, so I'm sure that they're busy beavering away for that. And that's my conundrum, really. It's whether to uninstall it and start again, or wait, cross my fingers and hope that an update comes along, which I'm sure it will, but also that the update will actually fix my app, because it might be that the patch needs me to uninstall it and reinstall it again anyways, but we will see. But it's not the end of the world.
No, indeed. I mean, I think I would wait for that update. I would wait for that update, because otherwise you'll lose all of your layers, and all of your all of that sexy time that's happening in your vault will be for nothing.
But I can't play it.
So maybe wait for it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I am waiting. It's there. I haven't uninstalled it again, but it means I can't play it, which just saddens me a bit.
Yeah.
That just goes to show that it's a good game. But yeah, it's just a nice little game, and you go away from it a bit, I suppose, like Simpsons Tapped Out, and things happen in the background, and then it gives you, if you enable it to give you push messages, it lets you know when things are ready to pick up, or if there's a baby born and things like that. And then you go back to it, and you just can pick up all this stuff, and it's got an addictive quality. I find it's definitely got an addictive quality. And I don't usually let myself. Well, I don't think it's a matter of letting. It's just that I don't usually get hooked like that. But yeah, I really like it. It's a great little game. And it's not just me having the problems. There's a few voices out there in the internet shouting that it's got problems. But I think you're right. I suspect it's down to the power of the device. I'm a few iterations behind on my iPad, and I don't think I read one complaint from somebody that was running anything equivalent of your good self. So that's probably all it is. It's just that I'm a little bit behind the times with my kit. But the thing is, Apple shouldn't allow it. It should be like, well, it only runs on this. You shouldn't be able to download it to a device that can't run it. So, and Apple are usually pretty good and pretty stringent with that. But yeah. Having said that, it's a great game, and I've been really enjoying it. The other thing I did was I had a little investigate into the Elite Dangerous preview program that we mentioned last week.
Oh yes, because we had a bit of confusion, didn't we, of what the preview program was and how you can access games. Yeah,
and it didn't seem. I remember because you brought it up on the internet and we read it verbatim, and it didn't seem that clear, did it, from Major Nelson's blog? So I had a look, and you were absolutely right. You won it, mate. You're absolutely. I don't try and hide it. You got it again. I'll get you next time, though. I called Shenmue 3, so you can have a trial of these games. Any of them's got a trial, and you can buy it straight away and play it up to release. And it's just under the caveat that all the features won't be there, but you'll get the features as add-ons during the time up to release, which I think is really good. And I don't know if it's going to follow suit with all games on this preview program, but Elite was £29.99. Maybe it's just that Frontier Games are happy to charge the same amount as they do on PC, because I think that was the going rate for it, or whether if you invest early you get a little discount. I'm not sure. And
that's what they said. Well, that's what they said when they released the program. They said that if you invest, if you're kind of one of those kind of not early adopters but preview people, you actually get a discount rate. So it's almost like we're giving you a little bit cheaper because we know it's going to could potentially be a little bit buggy,
and because you're a bit of a beta tester.
Absolutely, you're doing the work for them, aren't you?
Yeah, so you're getting your bit of a wage, you're getting your living wage there, your gaming wage.
So that's really cool. So are you still enjoying it? Because I know last time you were kind of a bit blown away by it. Are you enjoying Elite Dangerous?
Yeah. Well, all I did really was just investigate it. I've not bought it on Xbox One because I really liked it on the trial, but for me, unfortunately, Xbox One's not the home for it now. If Xbox One had a VR headset coming out, then maybe it would be, but I still wouldn't probably get it until the advent of that. PS4 would be in with a shout with Morpheus, but I think its spiritual home really is on PC with Oculus. So I imagine I will get Elite Dangerous along with my Oculus HMD. So until then, yeah, I just have to wait. But it was nice to have a glimpse. It was nice to have a glimpse and have a feel of it.
It was a half an hour glimpse, wasn't it? Was it a 30-minute glimpse?
60 minutes. 60 minutes of
60 minutes.
Of tutorials. Which it doesn't really explain much, and it says, as it's loading the tutorial, you pick a tutorial, say basic flight or combat or whatever, and then in the loading screen it says you should really check this out, and it's got a link to a YouTube video. So that's the way they've done it, instead of stepping you through like with someone talking you through it in the game, which I was expecting, and we're all quite used to. It's kind of like, we'll go off and watch this and then come back and do it, which I don't know, it doesn't sit right for me. It seems a bit disjointed. Why not just do it in the game? Old gaming Dazza here, I didn't need to go off to YouTube because I'm stubborn. So I just messed about for ages until I worked it out. But that probably cost me a lot of the experience because my pride stopped me from completing the tutorials as quickly as I could, and I would have had probably a bit more actual game time. But it's a lovely game. I'm tempted to get it, but time's too much of a luxury. I'll come on to that again in a little while. But Witcher 3 is just, that's it. I can't get another big game until I've done The Witcher 3. When I finish Witcher 3, I think I owe it to, well, myself, I suppose, to finish Bloodborne, which I shelved for The Witcher. I don't want to get some massive backlog. So then I'm going to be on Bloodborne, and that should tie me through to the next game that I'll probably be getting, which is looking like it will be Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. So that's me. That's what I've played. What about yourself?
Well, me, I started the week off finishing Halo 3 ODST. So Nicola and I were finishing the co-op campaign and going through ODST, which we did. Really enjoyed. I forgot how much I loved the last couple of levels of that game. So we played that, we got that kind of done and dusted, and I was just basically clearing my decks. I did get Lego Jurassic Park, so I fired that up, had a quick look at it. I love the Lego games, they're always such a good fun. So I had a look at that, played the first couple of levels, but I've now given that to Nicola. She started playing that this evening, because I was basically just kind of clearing the decks for Arkham Knight. I already said kind of how much I enjoyed it coming out on Tuesday, but Arkham Knight is the game that I've been waiting for a long time. So I've put Lego Jurassic Park, I've put Witcher 3 to the side. I'm like, nothing kind of stops, so there's nothing between me and the Dark Knight. So and I can safely say, I'm about 4 hours in, no spoilers of course, but I'm about 4 hours in and I'm loving it. I just absolutely love it. The new Batmobile took a while to get used to the Batmobile, but when you do, wow, it's just fantastic. I'm just racing around Gotham. It's just fantastic. It has a really good feel, because I was worried that it could be a bit like Grand Theft Auto. I have a real trouble driving in Grand Theft Auto. I'm all over the place.
It's a bit floaty, isn't it? Yeah.
It really is. I try and change things, try and adjust things, but luckily, thankfully, Arkham Knight is nothing like that. There's also a new mechanic that was introduced in the game a couple of hours in, which was called Nightmare Mode or Nightmare Takedown. And instead of your silent takedown that you can do, that's still there, but there's another button push that allows you to take out one character, quickly flip the camera around to another one and take out another character, and then flip it round and then take out another one. And
nice.
The thing about the Batman games, it always makes me feel badass, because you're hanging from a gargoyle, you're taking them out in silent takedowns and vertical takedowns, and this new mechanic is a nice addition. It really does just add that extra level of badassery to Batman and to the way that you're playing and taking people out. Because I don't know about you, Daz, but I like to kind of take my time with those areas where you can scope people and just slowly pick them off one at a time.
Yeah, it's very satisfying. I mean, I've only played Arkham City, but yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed doing that. So can you sort of combo it up with that Nightmare Takedown thing? So as long as there's people around, you could just keep doing it. Could you clear a room with it?
You can indeed. Yeah, no, absolutely. And
cool.
the Batmobile has something that is quite cool as well, where if you build up almost like a combo meter without being hit, you can then just kind of tap a button and you can take out about four items at any one time, so 4 other vehicles at any one time, and that was quite cool as well. I do like, but for me, I love the bit where you're kind of fighting, a blue flash will appear above someone's head, so you just use the dodge button or the Y button, and then you just kind of take them out, and then you continue fighting, and you can just keep chaining those combos for ages, and I just love it. And and it looks amazing. We said last week that looking amazing is almost a default, but there's something incredibly special about Batman. It's kind of up there with Witcher. If you kind of look at The Witcher, you look at Batman, you just really realise that you're in next gen now, and those games look amazing. It's just absolutely incredible. The story, I'm really enjoying the story. The story seems to be really kind of pushing on, and it's quite an interesting one. And also the trailer that they showed on Sony's conference at E3, where they showed you kind of incinerating the Joker at the start, that's the start of the game. So what they showed you at E3 was actually the start of the game. So the bit where a policeman kind of gets some toxins sprayed in his face, and so that whole piece that they did, that was the start of the game.
I love that, because that's happened a few times where you think, oh, look at this, but I don't want it to be spoiled, and when you get the game, you sort of, it's happened within the first half an hour or whatever, or it is the beginning of the game, and you're just like, this is classic. So what I saw whet my appetite was just the beginning, and I've got all this unknown excitement and wonder to explore.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's quite interesting because in a very kind of tongue-in-cheek nod to Call of Duty, because in the last Call of Duty we had press A to pay respects when you walked up to a soldier's coffin, and in this game you get press A to incinerate. So so the incineration that you saw at the start with the Joker is kind of press A to incinerate, and that did make me smile. It did make me stop, tweet, of course, stop, tweet, and then continue play the game. And it's and one thing I must say, the sound, I've got it in like surround sound in the movie room, and the sound is amazing. It's coming from everywhere, and I really enjoyed that. It was just fantastic, absolutely superb. So it's definitely a recommendation from me. It's a bit of a shame that it's getting some bad press at the moment because of the PC version that seems to be having some problems with different cards, but I can safely say that running on a Xbox One, it's a solid frame rate. There's no jitters. I had a look at a couple of YouTube clips of some people that were having problems on PC last night, and it's quite interesting. None of those problems are happening on my Xbox One, and I believe it's even more sturdier on the PS4.
Yeah, I think this is an example of where it sort of pays to have a console, not rather than a PC, but if not rather than instead of, or as well as, I mean, because some games really, I just think, sort of belong on console, and I know that PC is able easily to sort of push these games out at a higher rate and at a more impressive resolution, and it should be without question. It should be a lot better on PC. PC should be the flagship for everything. It should be like when you see it on PC, everybody's wishing, us PS4 and Xbox people were just like, oh man, I wish I had that because it's so amazing. But time and time again, it's either held back for parity, like Witcher 3, or you have to wait a long time to get your version, such as GTA 5 and Dark Souls, and Dark Souls 2 as well. So you've got to wait, you've got to have that patience and of seeing your console friends all playing it before yourself. And it seems that time and time again, the PC just get the short end of the wedge, and this time they've gone for a simultaneous release across platforms. And there was a lot of promises from Nvidia. This was going to be some like really amazing game to show off your high-end graphics card. And
it was giving away 3 as well, wasn't it? With some of the new graphics cards, they were giving away Arkham Knight 3.
So this is a graphics card seller that we're talking about. You know, the hype's there. That we've all seen these cinematic trailers and gameplay that's blown us away. Nvidia are getting behind it and endorsing it, and you're thinking, right, if I'm going to, you can imagine getting a new PC and you get your new car or just a new graphics card. I'm getting this game with the graphics card, and that is fantastic, and I'm so happy. And then people are loading it up, and it's running like a bag of spanners. It's just really, clunky as hell, apparently. Really dodgy frame rate.
It really is.
Did you see the news that it was apparently outsourced to another studio called Galaxy Studios, a PC port, this is?
I was just about to say that, yeah, because Rocksteady Games, this is Rocksteady Games, isn't it? They released a statement last night saying, apologies for all people who are having problems on PC. We're in contact with our PC partners, and they'll be issuing a patch soon. So it was like, you didn't even make the game.
They just got rid of it.
Day one.
And it's 12 people. 12 people in this outsourced studio. Well, I don't know if it's 12 people in the studio, but reportedly 12 people did the port to PC.
Wow.
It's not the greatest news you want to hear, and I can understand. Well, I can't understand why they. It's like what we said, I think, on the last podcast about things, quoting Miyamoto again, but in a different context. It's like, though this might be the context that he said it about, it's like, a rushed game that ends up being bad is bad forever, and a delayed game that works out well and is good forever and remembered, and they're both remembered for either their goodness or their badness. And this is a prime example of that. Why not just wait? What was the urgency to get Batman out on all formats at the same time? If they must have known that this was a bit of a lemon, so why let it go out? It seems, I mean, it's never really affected us on consoles before, though its ugly head has reared itself up with the likes of Assassin's Creed Unity, where it's sort of a philosophy of just get it out there and we'll patch it, because we're able to patch it now easily on consoles. This is probably why it started on consoles, because we're getting more of this sort of patch culture. We're always connected. It's like, we'll just get it out. Who cares if it's broke? We'll hit the release date, we'll hit our target, and then we'll just fix it going from there. And it's sort of, it's not good form, it's not good customer service to gamers, and that's been prevalent on PC for a long time now. But this is just another one in sort of a comedy of errors of this ilk, and it's just not good enough, really. I mean, I just don't understand why they couldn't have held it back, No,
absolutely. I mean, it is quite interesting, because these stories, they do seem to leak into people who are not interested in games. Because I was on a conference call today, and someone said to me, how's Batman? I hear you're playing Batman. How's Batman? I hear it's terrible. And I'm like, no, it's fantastic. I'm playing on Xbox One, and it's amazing, So it's quite interesting how that's someone who hasn't got a PC, hasn't got a console, but said to me, I hear it's terrible. I hear that game's rubbish. And so that's a fantastic AAA 10 out of 10 score game is getting a bad press outside, just because, as you say, they couldn't just delay it maybe for an extra month just to make sure that everything was good to go on the PC.
Yeah, and as this kind of thing happens, and the bad reputation, the bad kudos escalates because of one mismanaged platform, the industry and the publishers and the developers hopefully are going to learn from it. I say that, but then I think, well, the sales figures ultimately are what's matter, and the discerning gamer, or the moaning gamer as well, they're definitely excuse me, they're definitely in their minority. The vocal minority that rage about everything. They are not representative of the people that go out and buy the games. It's as Ubisoft can prove with their Assassin's Creed and the Call of Duties that sell by the bucket load. So it's kind of, if they do change, it's kind of respect out of wanting to do a job well done rather than their hand being forced by rage on the internet, because kind of they could say, well, who cares, we're still going to sell loads, and I imagine Batman's going to just race to the top of the charts and going to sell by the bucket load. Everybody wants this
without a doubt.
Yeah, so
absolutely, without a doubt. And it's a shame because, like I say, I can't sing the game's praises enough. And I'm only 4 hours in, and as soon as we finish recording the podcast, I'm going to be back, and I'm working from home again tomorrow, so I might have a bit of a late night tonight. So. Absolutely, I could get up just a little bit later. I can't sing its praises enough. But if you haven't dipped in already and you're tempted, buy yourself a PS4 or an Xbox One and play it on there, where it's happy, it works well, and it's just amazing. And also, there's been quite a bit of backlash about the season pass. It's £35 for the season pass, and it's giving you some stuff straight away. But they're promising quite a lot of content over the next 6 months. So there's not only skins and new Batmobiles and things like that, which I always enjoy. I do like them. I wish they were unlocked from the start, but I'm happy to go through the game again and with a Dark Knight or a Batman Beyond or something like that, outfit. But they're also giving you more story mode, and we're going to find out how Barbara Gordon is confined to a wheelchair. Now, if they follow comic book canon, that's because of the Joker. So, do we see the Joker coming in a flashback piece? So that would be interesting to see. I love Batman. I'm a big comic book fan, so it's a great game for me. But it's just a shame that the PC's ruined it for a little bit for us.
Yeah, I think it is. I've surprised myself with this one because I'm not going to buy it. And it's just weird because it got to Friday and I was kind of like, Arkham Knight's out, and I'm always excited when a new game's coming out. But I sort of thought, I'm too busy with The Witcher. You know what? I just thought to myself, I saw the reviews, read through the reviews, and as much as it got quite a few 9 out of 10s and things, I think I remember I tweeted to you, didn't I? I was like, the Batman reviews have dropped. Let's get in there. And usually that's my leg it to the shop and buy it if I haven't already pre-ordered it, which I hadn't in this case because something about it made me hold off. And I think it might have been Warner Brothers pre-order culture with the DLC and the way that they handled the monetization of the DLC. I sort of didn't like it. It just seemed so, I don't know if desperate is the right word, but it just felt like they're trying to eke every penny out of you with the temptation that you can't.
Yeah, but the great thing is, for me, I downloaded the digital copy, bought that season pass, and that season pass gives me every single store exclusive piece of content. So it doesn't matter that I didn't buy mine at Game or Amazon or wherever. I get all of those exclusive contents are all available via the season pass. So because I splashed out a little bit more, I got all of that. So I agree with you. It normally kind of befuddles my brain because I'm like, well, I really want that Dark Knight Returns. Yeah,
you start to need a spreadsheet
outfit.
to work it out, don't you? And you're going, if I want all these down the y-axis, then I'll go over here. Evolve was a prime candidate for that. That was ridiculous. And they also advertised the bloody pre-order bonuses before you'd even seen anything of the game, which sort of infuriated me. And I found that this followed sort of the same model. But so how much then have you paid season pass and game? How much does Batman cost?
Well, so the game was about $45 as a digital download, and then the season pass was $35. So in my maths, that's what, £80?
Yeah. So right, well, the jury's out really because I can't comment on that yet. I'm gonna maybe I'll go out there on a limb and say I don't think there's any way that the season pass content is going to be worth almost the same price as a full game.
But what you haven't seen is a smile on my face when I can play as the 1989 Batmobile, replaying the game as that with Batman as the Dark Knight Returns. You underestimate. Yesterday I wore my my Batfleck t-shirt in celebration of the Dark Knight of Arkham Knight coming out, and today I'm wearing a Nightwing t-shirt. So it kind of gives you the kind of bias that I have at the moment.
I can't put a price on your happiness like that, and
No,
just to know how happy you are playing it, that makes me feel warm inside, and that's fantastic. And for any fan, that's great. But I just feel that it's kind of milking the fans because A lot of it, and again, I don't know all about all the different facets of what the DLC is going to be and the season pass content. But I'm thinking that it could have been, included in the game. It could have been given away as free, or just cheaper than that. It's starting to. It feels like you're penalised as being a fan. Some people couldn't just shell that money out, and it's as if you're penalised for being a fan, because it's like, you're getting half the game. If you want the full experience, it's going to cost you £80. Kind of front up and say it's £80, or something. Well, I suppose it gives you the opportunity to play a partial part of the game for cheaper, if that's the way you look at it. You see, the way I've always looked at it is that I don't really care about DLC unless it's some big expansion. But I look at the game that is released as that entity is the game, and anything else is a bonus. So I'm sort of bulletproof against it, because I think that's the game. But when they start making me feel that necessary parts of the game are being withheld behind a paywall, it gets my back up. And I sort of, when there's such a cornucopia of different options and different DLCs hitting you left, right and centre, it just starts to bewilder me. And I think, you know what, just give us the game. Just we all want this game. Can't you just sort of not try and leech us for money straight away? Even if they just shut the heck up about it and gave everybody a chance to play the game as is for 3 months or so, and then announced like the extra bits in the season pass or whatever. I don't really like the culture of the season pass. I hope that it dies a death, personally. Yeah. But, if you're a fan and you're into it, it is great. But they could have allowed you to go around in the old Batmobile skin or whatever. It's just a bloody skin. It's just another overlay on the car. It's not. I don't think it's worth the money. And they could have let you do it for either they just put it in the game. They could have been an unlockable for doing things in the game like it used to be, or it could have been a bit cheaper. And it could not have been such a convoluted way of getting certain aspects if you can't go for the full season pass. So that's one of the reasons that I'm not buying it, and I'm surprising myself that I'm not buying it. I've read that the Batmobile is a bit forced upon you. There's some platforming puzzles that you have to do inside the car that are a bit of a nightmare. And I've read a few opinions of people saying, something. It's like, because Rocksteady, and it's kind of a compliment really, because Rocksteady have honed this game to such a great degree. I mean, the first one, Arkham Asylum, was fantastic by all accounts. I really enjoyed Arkham City. That was the second one, wasn't it? And I think that the fighting is so amazing, and the free roaming, gliding through Gotham City, and the realisation of the city. I think I'm not as into Batman as yourself, but I felt part of it. I thought it was fantastic, but because they've done such a good job, they sort of didn't have much room to improve, did they? I suppose, So they've got the Batmobile in there, which I'm pretty sure everybody wanted. I certainly wanted it when I heard about it. I was like, "Wow, this is cool. This is exactly what we want." But I hear that it's kind of like it's more than an optional thing for getting around. I mean, Batman can get around quite easily with his cape and stuff. I don't know if the Batmobile is quicker, but they sort of forced it upon you for some puzzle aspects and some platforming aspects. I mean, have you got up to those bits yet?
I got up to a platform last night where I had to go through a rooftop, and you had to do it on the Batmobile, because the Batmobile has a grapple that allows you to kind of take things down and move. And do you know what? I really enjoyed it. I know at the moment I'm kind of seeing it through rose-coloured glasses, and I'm finding it hard to find something bad about it. Even though I've kind of read the forums, I'm just like, but it's a new dynamic. It's kind of how if you read the comic books, if you're kind of into that, the Batmobile does play a part, and it's not just something that gets Batman to A to B. It is a bit more than that, and it has really kind of reiterated as time's gone on. So to use it now in the game, and when I actually did this level, and you had to do a ramp to get you up to onto this rooftop, I was cheering. I was sitting there playing, and Nicola was sitting next to me watching it, and I was cheering. I was like, "That's amazing," And then it was quite fiddly. You had to try and kind of work out. But once I worked it out, I was really enjoying it. Don't want to do it too much, but it really fit. It fitted the storyline that I wanted to get the Batmobile where I needed to get it, and it kind of really fitted. But while we were chatting, I've just kind of the season pass contains the prequel story where you play as Batgirl, so it's called Batgirl: A Matter of Family. There's also some story missions featuring legendary supervillains invading Gotham, so that's coming out. There's also one called Gotham City Stories, which is you play of Batman's key allies in a narrative mission extending the storyline. So that may be kind of why Batman's doing the Arkham Knight. You've then got Nightwing, Robin, Catwoman, etc., kind of doing some other stuff. Then there was the Batmobiles and tracks, which are covering 75 years of Batman history, because Batman's 75 this year, looking good for his age. And then there's also some challenge maps as well, so some crime fighter challenge maps. So as well as skins and things like that. So you get all of that and more over the next 6 months. And for me, Arkham Knight is a very self-contained story, and that's what I paid my £40 for, £45 for. But all this extra stuff is what I'm paying that £35 for. I agree with you. You know, it's quite tough. The first time you fire up your brand new game that you just spent £45 on, in the corner, in the right hand corner, it's saying, "Oh, you know, do you want the season pass too?" You know, and obviously, you know, like I say, I was in my Batfleck t-shirt. I'm like, yeah, I want that season pass. You know, I think I'd already made my mind up that I was going to buy the season pass when I saw this content that I'd just been through, when I saw that. But, you know, I'll probably still be playing it next week, so I'll maybe give a little bit more info, but at the moment I'm loving it. I was tempted to stream it, but I kind of think it's one of those games where I wouldn't want to watch that stream. I wouldn't want to watch someone else kind of almost spoil the story, because I have a feeling that this is it's quite special. So I'm just gonna kind of enjoy it in my little solitude. You know, late at night I'll have my headphones on and just enjoy it and just get right into it.
Yeah, it's a strange thing, because I was like all hyped for buying it, and then when the reviews dropped, I was reading through them, and there's something about it. I can't really put my finger on it, and it wasn't about the DLC and what have you, the season pass at that time, but something about the way the reviews were written didn't break through my sort of I really want this game barrier. You know, I've got quite a high threshold to get a game, and for some reason it didn't break through it. If I wasn't playing The Witcher at the moment, I would have it now, and I am absolutely positive that it will be a thing of beauty to play. I bet it's so fluid and it'll look amazing, and it'll be good fun to play. But for me at this time, it's just I'm not going to get it. So I think what I'm going to do, I'll either cave if I finish The Witcher 3 and Bloodborne before September the 1st, because that's when MGS5 Phantom Pain comes out, and I'll get it. Or I'll wait and see if they bring out a Game of the Year edition with everything, you know, everything in there in the box already.
Yeah.
But it's funny, because I was thinking about missing out Batman, how it leaves my games list. So for this year, if I miss out Batman, it leaves me with, and this includes some E3 announcements: Gigantic, Rare Replay, Beyond Eyes, Halo 5. Now, Gigantic and Rare Replay are in August, so not too far away, but that still leaves me about a month and a half almost of just what I've got at the moment. Beyond Eyes is summer. Halo, and then I've got a massive break. Oh, hold on, I haven't written it down, but MGS5 is 1st of September. Then I've got a big old break till Halo 5 at the end of October, 27th of October. Then Fallout 4. Well, then it gets quite good, because in the 10th of November you've got Fallout 4 and Tomb Raider, and then 20th of November Star Wars Battlefront and Trackmania Turbo on the 27th of November. So it's sort of, you know, they say about the summer games drought, but I'm gonna be suffering it in terms of new games. But I suppose I'm fortunate that I'm quite happy with what I've got, which is why I've made this decision. But I thought there was loads of games this year, and I suppose there is, but there's going to be quite a long space between sort of Witcher 3 and the next game that I'm going to get, I suppose, or certainly the next AAA. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's get on to our news section, because we're going to cover some of those kind of new titles that are going to be coming out. So, in this week's news section, we're going to talk about new console SKUs, who won E3, and also a PSN title that finally gets a release, and it's getting released tomorrow. So, Darren, do you want to kick the news section off with maybe the first piece of news?
Yeah, sure. So, first piece of news that I've got would be that Sony, after the announcement that Last Guardian is actually being made and it's going to be released next year, they've gone on to explain in an interview with GameSpot about why it's taken so long to arrive. And it's funny, now that the dust has settled and sort of a bit of the rose-tinted glasses and the ecstasy of the spectacle of E3 has sort of settled down for me, I sort of was thinking about Last Guardian. I was thinking, it's a shame. We touched upon it, I think, when we last discussed it, but it is a shame. It does look like a PS3 game to me. So I don't know. I'm bracing myself for disappointment with it, even after the elation of it, just hearing it. That's so great, and I'll probably still. Well, I don't know. I was going to say I'll probably still get it, but I don't know.
But I read this week that they started porting to the PS4. They made a decision to port from the PS3 to the PS4 in 2012. So in 2012 they canned the PS3 version and then they moved it over to the PS4, and then they had to really strip out a lot of stuff and rebuild it.
Yeah, but I suppose that's fair enough, because 3 years dev time. Yeah, okay. Games can take 3 to 5 years, can't they, for a AAA game? What Shuhei Yoshida said is that the project went on so many technical changes, or had so many technical changes, that they decided to move the project to PS4 in 2012, as you just said, because the PS3 code was so optimised for the PS3 architecture, because it was radically different, because the PS4 has been made sort of more like a PC architecture, as the 360 was and as the Xbox One is. They sort of got rid of this sort of very much proprietary architecture that they had for the PS3 with the PS4. But because it was so optimised for PS3, then they had to throw pretty much all the code away and rebuild it from scratch. He goes on to say it was a tough decision to move from PS3 to PS4 because it was running on PS3, but actually not at the performance level that they needed. And I think we discussed that as well, that the frame rate that was reported of how it was running at the time on PS3 was nothing like the demo that they showed at that fateful E3 that had everybody sort of on their feet applauding. So yeah, they knew they had to decide whether to continue the game on PS3 with a compromised version, or a compromised vision in the quote, or move on to PS4. And so that's what they decided to do. And then it looks like Fumito Ueda left to start his own studio, but still was up for working on Last Guardian as his primary project. But then that got out to the press, and there was all that big explosion about, is it being worked on, is it not being worked on? I don't know whether that would have delayed it or anything, but overall it just sounds like they made that choice to chuck out the code on the PS3 and start again. But what's surprising is the video that we saw in E3 just gone looks surprisingly identical to what we saw originally in 2012. If you've got to start again, wouldn't you have thought they could have harnessed the power of PS3 and make it look better? Because, I mean, the backgrounds to me, they look very much like Ico, really. Ico on a PS3.
No, absolutely. I mean, when I saw that reveal, obviously there's that jubilation that they're actually going to do this. So
it sort of blinded me, that jubilation.
Yeah, that they're actually going to do this. They're going to show it at a conference. They're going to bring this game out. And, you can't deny it. It does look fantastic. The way the bird dog moves and the interaction between the two of them. And I was like, God, this looks fantastic. And then in my head was like, hold up a second. This looks like the one you showed us 7 years ago. So I had that kind of jubilation and then kind of trepidation where I'm saying, well, this looks like something you've already shown us. And I would have think if there would have been 7 years in between, exactly what you said, Darren, it could have come out and it should have looked spectacular. When you're looking at that compared to all these other games that we're seeing, like Horizon, Beyond Horizon, the Gorilla game, and then you see the Bird Dog game, there is a huge difference. But whether we're just going to play it, and there's almost it's a brand new game, but it's also got a bit of nostalgia attached to it, hasn't it? And you're a biggie with the old nostalgia, so you probably like seeing it as a PS3 title. And then you could they'll probably have a mod where you can play it with your PS3 controller. That'll keep you happy.
Yeah, and I'll be paying like £200 for the season pass to do that, and you'll be saying, "What are you on about? You were saying it was bad," and I'll be like, "Yeah, but it's all right in this case."
Yeah, but the season pass comes with collars for the bird dog and different collars and
yeah, and I could get different claw colours and stuff, so it's well worth it.
And I can play as Ico if I want to.
yeah, which by the look of it is pretty interchangeable with the main protagonist. But the thing is, if it's a great game, it doesn't matter, because me and you, we love our graphics, and we've got an expectation there as hardware improves and gets more advanced. You can't deny it. There's an expectation, and we always want more and better, and to see this sort of utopian gaming vision that we always sort of dreamed of, but have never quite touched, if you like, and that we're well on the way to it at the moment. But graphics aren't everything. So if it's a great game and it looks pleasing, then I'm happy with that. GTA, because of the nature of the open world game, they can't be graphical powerhouses, though they are pretty stunning. But it gets, when a game's so good and so finely tuned, it can become more than just graphics. And there's many games that demonstrate that. Tetris, for instance, it's not all about the graphics. Playability is a key factor, and it always has been, and it always will be. But Shuhei Yoshida went on to say that the thing is, when they re-announced Last Guardian, he wanted it to be totally running on PS4 at the right performance, and he wanted to be confident about the release window that they announced. So no more delays, no more blagging, no more padding. In his mind, they wanted to have the tech, the vision, and the design down and ready. He says lots of levels have already been made, and he's confident about a 2016 release, and that's why they announced it. So at least from that, we can be confident that it's gonna arrive in 2016. And it's kind of good marketing the way that they've done it, because it's created, never mind PS3 nostalgia. Well, yeah, it is. It's exactly that. It's created its own story. It's sort of a legend, a bit like Duke Nukem.
Yeah, let's hope it doesn't turn out like that, though. But I mean, it was quite interesting, because even at E3, they were showing more. So we had that kind of piece of gameplay, that kind of, the term I hate that they use in gaming, vertical slice of the game. But by all accounts, behind closed doors, they were showing more of the game. They were showing a lot more before the bird dog is first revealed. So a lot of kind of platforming with just the boy, and then also some bits after as well. So they were actually kind of showing it playing as well, so someone actually kind of playing it, but that was behind closed doors that quite a lot of journalists got to see during last week.
Cool. What was the consensus on that? Were they all gushy about it, or were they reserving their opinions?
A lot of them are saying kind of similar things to you and I, that there is that kind of, it looks the same, that it moves incredible, it's very fluid, and they can't wait to play it. But there are some people that are just saying, it should look better, similar to what you and I are saying.
Yeah, for all the hype, that's the thing. For all the hype, you kind of expected it to knock us, bowl us over again, the same as it did then. Do you know what I mean? If you sort of add all the advances in technology, and I think we were all wanting deep inside, not only for it to be announced, but when it was announced, to be as good now, relatively, as it was back then. And so it would obviously be the bird dog thing and the little guy, but it would be that much improved. But let's see. As I say, it's not all about the graphics. I mean, Journey, for instance, that's a fantastic game. I really love that, and that there's loads of games like that. So we'll see. I mean, I'm not saying that Journey and Last Guardian are similar in budget or whatever, but I'm just saying that if it doesn't blow us away graphically, because there'll be, it might lose a few marks because of reviewers. We'll probably find that a bit of a sticking point, but I think I'm gonna hold back on that and just await the experience. 'Cause I can play Ico now and still enjoy it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Do you know what? And it would be quite funny, because if they would have showed Last Guardian brand new shiny graphics, there would have been the same amount of people that are saying it's not very nice. There would have been the same amount of people going, oh, why doesn't it look like the one you showed us 7 years ago? So, it's always that kind of thing. You always kind of, especially where something's been building hype like this, it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah, you can't please all the people all the time, and especially not in the gaming industry.
Absolutely. Right, next piece of news, quite an interesting one, I thought. Just a very kind of light piece of news, but interesting one, because we've just had E3. So E3's been and gone, that's done, and Gamescom is obviously kind of next. But both Sony and Microsoft have released new consoles. So a week after E3, when all that gaming news has died down, we've got new console releases or new console SKUs from both companies. Now, Sony are releasing a 1 terabyte PS4, which they're calling the Ultimate Player Edition, and that gets released in Europe and PAL territories on the 15th of July. So no word for US, but that's happening in the UK. And also Xbox have announced their 1 terabyte one, but they've released a Forza 6 Special Edition. Now, this is celebrating the 10 years of Forza. So it's been 10 years since the very first Forza came out. So you're getting a 1 terabyte console. It's a gorgeous looking blue. I think it's something to do with the Ford GT, which is the cover model. So it's that Ford GT blue. It's even got racing stripes down it as well. So it's these high gloss racing stripes that go over not only the controller, but also they go over the console as well.
Wow.
Even better, they've got rubberized diamond grips on their controller, so which is really nice. So that's kind of a bit of a thing that you're seeing in that Elite controller. But when you turn the machine on and turn the machine off, it makes revving noises. So similar to the R2-D2 one, the Star Wars Xbox 360. When you turn this on, it's like when you turn on your Xbox One, and I was like, how slick is that?
Nice touch, yeah. I mean, you're really banging to your Forza, aren't you? I can't believe it's 10 years. I can't believe it. The franchise has been going 10 years. So you're banging to your Forza, mate. You're going to take the plunge. You could just get it and put it on a nice inner perspex.
Well, I don't know, because
perspex box on a shelf.
I just don't know. I don't know. I mean, it is absolutely gorgeous. They've you can pre-order now in both game and also Amazon. The controller's really nice. Now, if I wasn't getting one of those Elite controllers, I might consider buying one of these brand new controllers, because they are selling those separately as well. So the controller is also so you can have, because I always find that when you got like a special edition, you want 2 controllers a lot of the time, and they don't have another special edition controller, so they're selling that. So I'm thinking
good.
about
rather than having to buy 2 lots of the console in order to have 2 pads. Yeah, that's good of them. That.
Absolutely. So that's obviously that special edition, that limited edition, is coming out on September the 15th, which is the same day as Forza. So just an interesting one. Like, the companies have said, right, okay, let's let all the games get out of the way, and now we'll release. But the 1 terabyte PlayStation is a very interesting one. I'll be interested to see what they do with the 500 gig, whether that starts going cheap or whether they just kind of keep it and just take it out of circulation.
Have they released prices for these?
It's no, I think it's $399 for the. So it's the same price. The Forza is the same price as an Xbox One, but there is no price yet for the 1 terabyte PS4 Ultimate Edition yet.
Oh, okay. So the 1 terabyte Forza edition is going to be the same price as your standard Xbox One.
Yes, absolutely. It's just a standard. I mean, a lot of the time
with these.
Yeah, with these special editions, they don't tend to kind of add extra prices. It's more kind of, you're in the market at that point for an Xbox, so let's you get a good one.
Has that Xbox got a 1 terabyte in it?
It's a 1 terabyte Xbox.
Well, that's great.
So that's really cool. That's really good. Right, next piece of news. What have you got, Darren?
Let's have a look. So Fallout 4. We all love Fallout 4, and it looks really good and everything. Well, Bethesda have confirmed that Fallout 4 is going to run at 1080p at 30 frames per second on both consoles, which is great news. I'm happy, personally, with 30 frames per second. I know a lot of people... 60 frames per second is undeniably better. I've enjoyed gaming for a long time at a lot less than 30 frames per second, so I'm happy, as long as it's playable, I'm happy. And I think Fallout 3 probably dipped below 30 quite a lot on my old Xbox 360. So that's great news. It's gonna be flat out. Probably they're gonna. Well, if they get 1080p out on the Xbox One, I think that's a boon for them anyway. And the 30, maybe PS4 could have. I don't want to get into that argument really. Maybe PS4 could have done it because it's got a bit more power. But for me, I'm not bothered. As long as the game plays well. That's good, and I think I'd rather have 1080 with 30 than 720 with 60. What do you think on that? I'd rather have higher resolution than higher frames per second.
Absolutely. I mean, like, let's back the truck up for just a second. Did you say that we're getting 1080p on an Xbox One?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, say it again, Darren. Say it again.
Bethesda confirms Fallout 4 1080p 30 frames per second on consoles. On Xbox One and PS4.
Exactly. I want to see that in writing. I want to see Todd Howard tell that to my face, because that's fantastic. Because I love my PS4, and I'm going to be spending a lot of time on PS4 with Star Wars Battlefront and things like that.
Oh, you've decided?
Yes, I have. I'm making that jump. But I love the controller. I wish I could take my Xbox controller to PlayStation 4, and play it there. So I'm going to be playing Fallout 4 on Xbox One. So to hear that, I'm happy. I'm very happy.
I'm not absolutely sure, but this could be the first multi-format game that's come out in the next gen that's hit 1080p on Xbox One and PS4 simultaneously. I wouldn't swear to it.
No, you're right, because Thief 3? That was going to do it, and then just as it got released, it dropped down to 960.
Yeah, that's the sort of res of choice, isn't it, at the moment for Xbox One trying to hit it. They're sort of hitting that middle ground at 960.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's awesome. That's really good news.
Just you mentioning there with taking one controller to another system. I mean, I really hope that in the future, not for reasons of competition, I don't hope it, but for reasons of ease of use, I sort of hope this could happen, where you just have, say, the one box that was that was streaming. Like you'd open your PS4 app on it, or your Xbox app on it, or your Steam app on it, or whatever, and you just could use whatever controller you wanted. They're all Wi-Fi after all, and you could just take your Xbox Elite controller, and you could use that on anything you want. Make things a bit more interchangeable, cross-platform. I know it's not going to happen anytime soon. Certainly not while you've got these big players sort of vying against each other, but I think it might consolidate one day, and it was a nice. I just sort of had this nice little idea of a lovely gaming paradise in the future, and I just thought I'd share it there.
No,
but yeah,
I was thinking exactly the same thing. I got quite nerdy this week. Surprise, shocker! I got quite nerdy this week, and I was watching they had some clips. They had some YouTube clips of that new Elite controller, and they were showing how they made it, and they were showing a gamer. Now, one of the most amazing things about this kind of 5-minute YouTube clip was they were showing the Microsoft Studio where they test the controllers. So it's all done via, it's not just a load of guys crying wanting to get out. It's actually done by like kind of mechanized kind of testing systems. So you see them like kind of twitching the controller, pressing the buttons and things like that. And they were showing that. They were showing the controller. And I was just getting very excited about that. And I had the same thought. I wish I could take this perfectly sculptured Elite controller and take it over to PlayStation, because I'll be able to take it over to my PC. So it's just, and I have a Pro controller for my Wii U. So if only I could just take this one controller and just play it on all of those platforms. So I had exactly the same thought as you this week, which is quite bizarre, but it would just be nice, because once you have muscle memory and you get used to that kind of weight and that pad, you really just want to use that on other systems. And I do find that when I go over to the PS4, because I don't visit it as much as I should do, I forget where buttons are, and I forget kind of what buttons were, and it's quite bizarre. It just takes a moment, that's probably just my age, but it does. I do kind of just have to kind of, oh yeah, that's there, type thing. So it would be nice. It would be lovely if I could do that.
Yeah, it is a bit awkward, and I remember back on 360, I'd sort of be like, yeah, well, for games on PS4, I think I prefer this pad. I can't be bothered with it on PS3. Sorry, PS3. I'm talking about PS3 and 360. And I'd be like, I can't be bothered. Even if it's a bit better, I'll play it on 360 because I've got my achievements and I've got my pad, and I'm happy with that. So yeah, I felt that, and I'd sort of pick up the PS3 pad, or even when I started with the PS4 pad, and it's just unfamiliar, and it can put you off. You're like, I can't be bothered getting used to this. I'm in love with this pad. No, me and this pad go back a long way. Oh, let's get back together. You forget you. I'm back, darling. Let's carry on the old Microsoft console. So yeah, interesting.
No,
interesting that we both thought it as well.
Absolutely. So my next piece of news, again, kind of a little bit of a light one, but happened just before we started recording this podcast, was that the Tales from the Borderlands Episode 3, which was titled Catch a Ride, so anyone who knows Borderlands kind of knows where that's heading, that's now out on Xbox One and 360. I believe that yesterday it came out on PC, Mac, and PlayStation 4 and 3. But today, just like I say, just before we recorded, I just checked. I bought the season pass for that one. I was downloading the new episode, and then I think it's out on iOS and Android tomorrow, which is Thursday, the 25th of June. So that's out. So that's kind of the reviews don't really kind of read the reviews because they tend to be quite spoilery about this, but by all accounts this is gearing up to being one of the funniest Telltale episodes. So and I'm really enjoying the Borderlands. I didn't think I'd like it as much as I did, but it really does mix that Borderlands humor with Telltale gaming, and they do really well with it, and it's fantastic. So that's episode 3 of 5 is out right now.
Oh, excellent. That's really good, and it's good to see that they're going over to sort of tablets, because they're a great fit. They're a great fit for tablets, those kind of point-and-click games, so that's good to see.
Indeed.
So I've got another piece of news. PS Plus Drive Club, which I predicted, and I forgot to mention it on our E3 podcast, but yeah, they never mentioned Drive Club at all, and I was a bit shocked by that, because when I predicted it, I really thought that they'd feel that they had to say something about it because it's been so long. But it appeared on the PSN store earlier today, then disappeared. So the news sites were all like, "Oh wow, Drive Club has appeared. It's been released, but without any announcement," which is a bit strange. Then it disappeared. Then it turned out that if you'd been quick enough or lucky enough to see it and download it, it did work, and you could play it offline. But later on today, pretty much breaking news, it's only in the last few hours, Sony have announced that in fact Drive Club PS Plus version edition launches tomorrow. So yeah, that's 25th of June 2015. If you're a member of PS Plus, you'll be able to download the game, and that was announced by Shuhei Yoshida, the president of Worldwide Studios for Sony PlayStation. He's given a bit of an apology on his announcement, saying thank you for bearing with us. We do realise, this has taken a lot of work. They're going to allow you to download it and play it offline straight away off the bat from tomorrow. But the online features will be rolled out steadily across PlayStation Plus, so not everybody will be online straight away. So they're going to be bringing more and more players online as sort of in a rolling method, to make sure, and they're going to monitor the systems and make sure that it's running smoothly, so that they don't have another massive cock up like they did with the actual game's release. So he sort of goes on to say that he realises that might be quite frustrating for some people, but it's better to do it that way than have everything break for everybody, and I'm inclined to agree with him. So yeah, at long last, I think it was announced in 2013 that would come, and it's getting now that promise is getting fulfilled. The thing is, I sort of think they might. I mean, as much as it's been a bone of contention because they made a promise and didn't live up to it, the game has been out for ages, and because of its shoddy launch, it depreciated really quickly, and you've been able to pick it up for, I think it's even been on PSN for like £15 for ages, and you could get it from, I don't know, Game secondhand or CEX for probably about tenner for a while. I've got it. I've had it for a long time. As soon as it got fixed, I got it, and I picked it up for about £30, I think. And I really, really like it. But I think the majority of people with an interest in it will already have it. So the bonus that it was going to be to everybody that was keen, everybody that's keen will now pretty much have it. So it's not got that same value that it did have. It's just basically mopping up the people that probably are a bit meh anyway, and they'll just be like, "Oh, I'll give it a go." It's got nowhere near the sort of stellar glory and glitz that it had when it was first announced. Because when it was first announced at the E3, I think it was when they were announcing the PS4. They said, "Yeah, PS4's coming out, Drive Club's coming out," and they showed you all the footage, and it was like, "Wow!" And they said, "This is going to be free for PS Plus, the PS Plus edition."
That was supposed to be at launch, wasn't it? It was
it was supposed to be at launch.
You were going to get this mind-bending racing game. It was kind of going up there with Forza, wasn't it? And like you say, you're going to get the PS Plus edition for straight away, and that was going to be the first big AAA kind of title for PS Plus.
Yeah, and sort of paving the way to everybody thinking, "Wow, look at what Sony are doing here."
Yeah.
You're getting this big trial of a game.
So do you think it'll get a bit of a resurgence because obviously a lot of people like their freebies, so a lot of people will download it, especially if you're just buying a console now. Do you think it will get a bit of a resurgence?
I think it will. I mean, I don't know if it's actually gone out of fashion now, but then I haven't put it on for a while. But whenever I do put it on, there's lots of sort of, if you excuse the term from Forza, like drive avatars going round, and it's still there's loads of time. What would you call it? Records to beat from other people online and things like that. So it seems like it's still working, and it's got a bit of a community going on, and you can create your own club and stuff. This is a cut down version, but yeah, I think maybe it'll give it like you say, everyone's going to jump in who hasn't got it. I would certainly, and just give it a spin, and why not? It's just that it's been such a bloody comedy of errors getting it out there that this could have been like a big win for Sony, and it's kind of an embarrassment. I imagine that Shuhei Yoshida's just happy to have made this announcement. It's going to roll out. Just be careful. Don't give everybody online, all at the same time. Make sure that the benchmark lines are all just nicely and not flowing and not hitting the red line. And he'll be just like, right, that's done. Thank goodness for that. Let's move on to something else. But I was expecting them to announce it at E3 with a bit of an apology. That hasn't happened, but they're obviously working on it. Maybe they thought about that because it is so close after E3, but maybe it just wasn't quite there, or maybe the fact that they're going to roll out the online aspect piecemeal, maybe that they thought that was a bit embarrassing and maybe not one to actually take the stage with. But it's there, it's going to be out tomorrow, and we can sort of put that to bed, thank goodness.
No, absolutely. I mean, it was quite interesting because I've seen quite a few Shuhei Yoshida interviews from E3, and he didn't mention it at all, even though every single interview that I watched, one of their questions were, where's Drive Club? Another question was, what's Studio Ben doing? What's Santa Monica? And he just basically said, no comment on Drive Club. I've played a new game from Studio Bend. I've played a new game from Santa Monica. You'll see about those later, but we're not prepared to say anything yet. But he didn't say a single thing about Drive Club. But I think, exactly what you said. I think he's probably, and Sony are probably just glad that they've just got this out there. What they're doing, they seem to just be, they've got hold of somebody's list, a gamer's list somewhere, and it's Drive Club on PSN, Guardian, Shenmue, Final Fantasy, and they're just going, yeah, let's just do this. Let's just tick all these off. So it's good that they've done that, so people can stop pestering him. And I didn't download it, never played it, so I will definitely download it, have a quick go, see what it's like, and then hopefully, maybe I'll race some of your times, Darren.
Yeah, I'd like to see if you can beat them, and I'm quite competitive, so.
Awesome!
See if you can beat them, and we can have a little tournament. But yeah, it's a beautiful game. It's really nice, and I'd be interested because I haven't played Forza. Just on your opinion as a bit of a driving game fanatic, just what you think. It'd be good to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give that next week on the podcast. So the next news article from me is about who won the E3. Now, we said last week, and we won't kind of get bogged down to kind of fanboy rants about who won, but definitely a lot of people were saying that Sony did the best conference, but a source, Amazon, listed their top 10 most pre-ordered games. So this is Amazon UK. So they just basically said, since the E3 conferences, these were the top 10 most ordered items, because there was actually a peripheral in there as well. But topping the list was Rare Replay for Xbox One. So this was from E3, the most pre-ordered in Amazon UK was Rare Replay. And quite rightly so, because this is a fantastic collection from a fantastic studio. So that's number one. And I've got a bit to say about Rare Replay in a bit. But that's kind of number one. Number two is Gears of War Ultimate Edition. So for Xbox One and PC, that's there. Number three is Doom. Dishonored is 4. Final Fantasy Remake, I mean, they don't even have a date for it, but it's obviously been pre-ordered a lot. Gears of War 4. South is number 6. South Park, The Fractured Butthole, is number 7. Now, I chuckle at this because when we were going in our podcast last week, you said that, the new South Park game, and you said the title, and you said great title, and sniggered, and I didn't get it. And it wasn't until the guys on the AV Forums podcast said the title, and they giggled like schoolboys, that I finally got it. So I don't know why, it's obviously just gone straight over my head, but the Fractured Butthole now just makes me giggle every time I hear it, and those guys were chuckling. It's very funny. Horizon Zero Dawn is 8. Dishonored, the definitive Definitive Edition is number 9, and the Xbox One Elite Wireless Controller, I'm glad I got my pre-order in early, is number 10. Now, obviously, Fallout 4 is not in that list because that was announced a week to 2 weeks before E3, so all of those pre-orders were probably already in. But it's good to see that Dishonored and Xbox are really just kind of demanding, controlling that pre-ordered Amazon list.
Yeah, you're right. Well, that is fantastic. The thing is, there isn't anything to pre-order on PS4, is there, really?
No. I mean, all of the stuff
promises. It's all promises, It's like the Game of Thrones quote, words of wind, really.
Yeah.
Give us something tangible. Sony haven't got anything tangible. It was a great conference, but it was just wind. Great wind, and they've got no more elephants in the room. So, like you were saying before, they've got rid of it. No one's going to be pestering about Last Guardian anymore. No one's going to be going on about Drive Club. They've got all that out because they've announced it. But as for actually bringing something to the gamers' lounge to play, well, you could just best be waiting, mate, because it could be any number of years until you get a lot of what they talked about. So, but yeah, I mean, it just shows that the people are there, the gamers are there on their Xboxes, and they're ready to commit to these amazing games. And that Horizon Zero Dawn, I'm surprised that isn't higher up. It looks amazing, that game.
Yeah, but again, that's probably just a piece of artwork on a kind of title and box art to be released, and a kind of register a pre-order now, and that's it.
Sorry, no, you're right, because that's the one sort of with the Zoids game, isn't it, with like the dinosaurs and everything. Sorry, I thought it was Xbox. I got mixed up then. But yeah, I still thought that would be higher up. But yeah, who knows when that's coming out?
But it's quite interesting because normally what I do, it's almost like a kind of post E3 ritual. As I go on Amazon and I just go through and I just start pre-ordering a ton of stuff. And this year I sat down and I started going, I'm gonna buy that digital. No, I'm gonna buy that digital. And I was just the list of games that I was buying or pre-ordering from Amazon was just dwindling because I'm finding that I'm just going through and I'm buying them all digitally. So the only downside of that is that I do have to stomp the money up front with digital. So if I go onto Amazon and I pre-order, let's just say the top 3, which is Rare Replay, Gears of War, and Doom, my debit card won't get charged until they ship that game.
Yeah.
If you buy those games on Xbox One digitally, you pay for them right then. So obviously, you don't need to do it because Gears of War's not out until August 25th. Rare Replay's not out until August. So you don't have to do it. But if you just wanted to, with me, I'm a little bit OCD, so I want to make sure I've done my pre-order of all of those. So if you do that, you end up kind of spending a lot of money just in one bulk and up front.
Yeah, that's true. Now, I know with digital purchases, you always get the disclaimer saying no refunds when you're buying a game.
That's correct.
Does that apply to a pre-order?
It does indeed. It does indeed.
Whoa.
If a pre-order gets moved or anything like that, they take your money there and then. They're taking it. They're spending it on sweets, and they've got it. So there's no pre-order. I would actually like to see when this whole medium evolves slightly. I'd like to be able to trade in a game for credits on Xbox. So, say for instance, I bought Batman digitally, finished the game, done everything I can do with it. I'd like to be able to just go, right, I want to trade that in. It takes it off of my hard drive or takes that license away from my hard drive, and then they give me some money for it. And I'd like to see that because that's sometimes what I do with games. I finish the story, I pop it down to game, and then I just kind of put it on my game card, and then the next time I'm in there buying something, I just get some money off of it. So I'd like to see that potentially happen, but no, absolutely. So when you make that purchase, the money's gone, and then that's it. And
you can't cancel your pre-order if you decide for whatever reason that you don't want it, or you hear some bad news about the game. You can't cancel the pre-order like 6 months before it's come out and get your money back.
Nope, that's it. It's yours. Now, the only good thing about it, obviously, is that you don't have to wait for the postman to deliver your post. Mine's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so I'm not kind of face pressed up against the window waiting for Rare Replay to come. At midnight on that day, Rare Replay's unlocked and I can start playing it. So for me, especially because I do end up taking... I have quite a few gaming days. So actually, Nicola and I have quite a few gaming days where when a new game comes out, Halo, Gears, Viva Pinata, something like that, we do end up taking a day or a couple of days off of work to just kind of enjoy that game, with everybody else. I love being that you're enjoying a new title and there's buzz on Twitter, your friends are talking about it, and so we do just kind of tend to immerse ourselves in kind of new games. And I get mocked at work, but I do take days off for games, so which is quite cool.
Yeah, no, well, I'm exactly the same.
But there is actually, what I was saying was when I was going through that list, now the top of the list, Rare Replay. Now, I can't wait for this game. It's fantastic. Two problems I have at the moment, well, not really problems, two minor issues. One, I can't pre-order it yet on my Xbox One. It says not available or unavailable when I try and pre-order it. So I want to give them my £20, I want to give them my $19.99, but they won't take it yet, so I don't know what's going wrong there.
They're protecting you there.
Yeah. They're like, come on, they can tell. I mean, I think I'm visiting either the app, on the iOS app, or the dashboard. At least once a day, I'm checking to see if I can buy it. I just want that. I want that in my pins on my Xbox 360. I want it there. I can't wait. I'm very excited about this game. But one thing that did dampen my excitement just slightly for this game is that if you've already got the achievements for Banjo Nuts and Bolts for Viva Pinata, you can't get them again. So you've got them. So it comes with 10,000 gamer score. And I'm not an achievement hunter, but I like achievements to kind of take me through games, especially Viva Pinata. It's quite nice to just work your way to an achievement, do something to work your way. But because I've got 1,000 in Viva Pinata and I've got 850 in TIP, which is Trouble in Paradise, I can't get those achievements anymore. So for me, that game doesn't come with 10,000, it comes with 8,000. And I've already got half of them on Nuts and Bolts, so it's now coming with 7,500. So I'm not quite sure where that decision was made at Rare, because a lot of the other games, such as Borderlands, or the Borderlands pre-sequel when that came out, or especially the Telltale games, when you're playing those, or even the Halo Master Chief Collection, when you're playing those, they're the same achievements, but they've got some different ones, but they're the same achievements, but you're getting them twice. And this is what I was expecting from Rare Replay. I remember kind of tweeting to my brother-in-law going, Brad, we're going to get 2,000 gamer score again on Viva Pinata, because we had spreadsheets. I can't tell you how nerdy my family was with that game. We had spreadsheets. That was all we talked about. It was, and we were very excited. But it turns out, because we've already done it, we're not going to get those again.
That is a shame, and it's a bit of a shock, especially as there seems to be a precedent out there that this practice of when a game gets re-released on a different console, or other games that have been released on the next generation, come with fully fledged achievements. They might be the same achievements, but you can get them again. So it's a strange move. It sort of makes me think that maybe it's an oversight, and maybe they just hadn't thought of it, and so it just sort of it was an oversight, and that's it, and maybe they didn't realise, and I don't know whether it's been pointed out now, and it's too late to change it, or when they realised, they thought, we're too far down the line to change it. I don't know, but it just seems strange, and it seems like something that wouldn't be a big thing to include. I'm sure that it wouldn't be a break the bank or anything like that.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I've submitted my CV for quality assurance at Rare to just make sure that we can get those achievements in. And like I say, it's not going to dampen me. I'm still going to play Trouble in Paradise, because I have a bigger TV now, so I can't wait to play it. And I have been playing it on the backwards compatible, but I can't wait to play it as part of that, and kind of enjoy that Rare collection. But it is just a bit of a dampener. So what I will do is those couple of achievements that are eluding me, I'll just work on those as my kind of Viva Pinata fun time.
Yeah, it's just a bit of a grey cloud within that silver lining. I mean, I can't wait for it either. It's got Attic Attack on it, hasn't it?
It has. It's got Attic Attack,
nice
Night Law, Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie. What I completely forgot when we were talking about it last week, it's got Blast Corps on there and Jet Force Gemini. I'm going to be spending so much time with this one game that's going to cost me about £20. They should charge more. So Rare, put the achievements in and charge me more.
Yeah, it's the game that keeps on giving. It just doesn't give you the achievement points if you've already got them. But yeah, charge a bit more and throw another couple of thousand achievement points in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can't wait for it as well. It's going to be a great game. That's what I'm going to get in August, I believe.
It is indeed. So, right, next story. So, what's up next?
Yeah, I've got one here. Xbox. Yeah, talking about I think, as we say, we don't really want to say you won free or anything because it's just a bit of a fanboy argument or a marketing's designed argument to get people fighting and not buying the competitor's console for whatever ridiculous reason that may be. But basically, it's bad news for Microsoft in Japan, as on the week between the 8th and the 14th of June, Microsoft managed to sell only 100 Xbox One consoles.
Wow.
Now, that is not expected. It's a massive low, It's a terrible statistic. It's an all-time low for the console. And it's really struggled in Japan anyway. I don't know if you remember, but the launch of it in Japan, and there was pictures of like one person in the game shop and thing. There weren't the queues that you would expect from a console launch, especially in sort of the home of gaming. I mean, the Japanese have never been right on with Microsoft's console because I think it's taken off more in the West, but it's still sold, moderately well, and this is just not only surprising, but I just find it a bit saddening, really. We've mentioned this before, but console sales are down in Japan anyway because they're sort of more interested in the handheld and portable experience. That seems to be the way they're moving now. That's completely the opposite the way that myself. I know you play your portable games as well, but I'm all about getting more horsepower in the lounge and set up with VHD and going on to 4K and getting more, we're on about getting PCs. We want more of this sort of home console thing. But the Japanese gamers seem to be more interested in your portable experience. And I don't know, maybe like Monster Hunter on a 3DS with friends, that's the pinnacle. I don't know, because it's strange because if we do lose them more and more as well out of the console market, like Final Fantasy VII as a JRPG, that sort of reignited my spark into games at a time when I was having a bit of a break. I'd sold my PS1 as I decided that there was no games worth playing, and then I saw an advert for Final Fantasy VII, and I flew out and bought that and Time Crisis with 2 guns, and I was like a born again gamer, and I loved it, and I'd never played a game like it, and we wouldn't have had that without the sort of imaginations and creativity of the Japanese game designers. So that worries me, though there hasn't been a JRPG that I've wanted to play for a long time, but still, I always feel that sort of that's the home of gaming. Some other stats, during the same time, the Wii U sold 16,413 SKUs, and the PS4 sold 10,822.
In Japan?
In Japan.
Wow.
Yeah, these are all Japan numbers. So Xbox One sold 100, Wii U sold 16,413, PS4 sold 10,822. The Xbox One was outsold by the PS3, which sold 2,633, and even by the Vita, which sold 566.
Wow. I mean, the Vita does have a lot of JRPGs and a lot of kind of games that appeal more to the Japanese market, so I'd understand that. But that's incredibly low. But I don't know about you, but...
Oh, sorry, just change that. It's the Vita TV, not the Vita. The Vita TV sold 566. Oh,
so the PlayStation TV, so that's just the little square thing that you
can
stream.
Yeah. So, wow, that sold more. The Vita actually sold over 10,000, and the 3DS, which is like the most popular, was 25,772. But yeah, 100 for Xbox One.
Holy moly. I mean, I don't know about you, but I kind of feel that Microsoft almost gave up on Japan a while ago. I mean, they had a studio out there. They brought out things like Blue Dragon, and they were very much kind of trying with the 360 to say, look what we've got. But even, I think, the last Tokyo Game Show, I don't even think Microsoft went, did they?
No, I don't think they did. And they're not going to come back from this. I mean, they're... boss of Xbox Japan, he resigned last November when the console was selling at 776 a week, and so I don't know who it is that's in charge now, but to drop to 100, it's just died a death, hasn't it?
There's nothing that those gamers want on that platform, and it does surprise me because a lot of the it's really funny because the West wants to be like the East and the East wants to be like the West. Sometimes you find that there's a real mix of cultures, but you just don't see that in gaming. We love the kind of JRPGs. There's some, like I say, there's some stuff on Vita that is just incredible. And Ni no Kuni, which was, I'm a ginormous Studio Ghibli fan, and Ni no Kuni was like playing a Studio Ghibli movie.
I loved that game.
It was just amazing, and Drippy is one of my favourite characters of all time. I even laughed just kind of thinking about him, and it's so he. I'm just so surprised that Microsoft haven't said, they have a lot of money. It's a territory that they need to try and break, and I think they have tried it time and time again, but I do think they're looking more to China now, aren't they? Because China have started to get consoles, and that's kind of where their focus is going, because there are so many people just kind of chomping at a bit, and if they could just break a very small percentage of the Chinese market, that's still making them a lot of money.
That's right. That's exactly what I was just going to say, because if they break China, they're not going to need to. They can just abandon Japan because it's just so massive. They'll just have got a blank check, another one. They've got enough money as it is. I can't remember if Blue Dragon was an attempt to curry favour with
oh
with
no,
the Japanese
it definitely was. They had Panzer Dragoon and they had Blue Dragon.
It was awful.
Yeah, and it was a Western take on a JRPG, and we see in this time and time again where Sony and Nintendo are throwing money at somebody to make a game. Microsoft really should think about this. They really, if they want to crack it. But like I say, maybe they're just going, it's not for us. We've got Europe, we've got America and Canada. Let's just focus on that. I mean, they are dragging their heels. I mean, they are behind PlayStation 4 in overall sales figures, which was a switch around from the last generation. So maybe they're just focused on that and they're happy to just let that slip away.
Maybe. You know what I'd do? I mean, just give them what they want. Here's an idea for you, Microsoft, if you're listening. Just thought of it now. I would cross Dark Souls with Monster Hunter, and I would make it awesome. And I'd bring it out on the console, and that's it. Make it with the online thing, not a Dark Souls online, but more of the Monster Hunter teaming up and just fighting like sort of in a Dark Souls-esque universe. There you go, bang! I bet they'd love it.
Absolutely.
I'd love it actually as well. Come and think of it.
You're like, hold up a second, that's a really good game.
But just give them what they want. They've got all this money to market test. It seems how can you consistently fail to give them what they want and analyse what they're playing at the moment? I mean, you can just see with the figures there, they like the kind of games that are on the 3DS. Have a look at what the top selling games are on the 3DS. Make a better one on the Xbox One.
Yeah,
and launch it as a bundle for sort of subsidise the cost and get the fans in there. You could surely you could do it. I'm sure me and you could do it if we had the resources that Microsoft have got.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I'm quite surprised that there's an anime that I'm big into at the moment called Attack on Titan or Attack of Titan, and it's an amazing anime. It's on Netflix, and I found it there. I was just kind of looking through, and I found it on there, and I started watching the first 5 episodes before I knew it, and I was kind of just deep into this, and I'm surprised that hasn't spawned a game, and I'm surprised that Microsoft or somebody isn't looking at those titles and just looking and saying, we can make something like that, because that's quite big in the West as well as in Japan. I mean, it's so big in Japan that they've actually got, I mean, there are a few DS games for it, but it's so big in Japan they've actually got their own theme park for Attack on Titan, and it's bloody scary place because the Titans are incredibly scary, and but this is there. Why aren't they just looking at what's now, what's do what Sony did for everybody at the PlayStation conference. Go to Tokyo Game Show and say, Attack on Titans, we got you a game. This, we've got you a game. And just do that. Here's Hideo Miyazaki from Studio Ghibli. He's doing a game for us. We've got him out of retirement, and they'll do stuff like that. If they want to break it, there's definite ways that they could swoon that audience.
Yeah, definitely. It's just about, I suppose, desire to do it, but maybe China is so big that's just they're concentrating on that. Maybe it's just one step at a time.
But I think what we're actually saying, Darren, is that you and I should take over Xbox Japan and we'd sort it for them, basically. So if you're listening, Microsoft, we've got you covered.
Yeah, this podcast basically is a kind of cloaked application for that role for ourselves to go out there and sort it out. So just
drop us an email at feedback@gamersandlostspark.com and we can talk some money. We'll talk figures.
Yeah. We'll talk figures and we'll sort the territory out for you.
Superb. And speaking of giving people what they want, Platinum Games are giving me something that I want. And that is a Transformers game that looks like the 80s TV show. Now, 80s Transformers was amazing. It was incredible. And Platinum Games, so the makers behind Bayonetta, Metal Gear Solid Rising Revengeance, something like that, and Vanquish. So that studio is making a Transformers game called Transformers Devastation. Now, not only is a fantastic studio making it, but this game looks like the 80s TV show. So it looks like the 80s animated Transformers show. Optimus Prime is voiced by Peter Cullen, the great Peter Cullen. So we have Optimus Prime covered. It's got Shockwave. It's got Megatron. It's that dream that I had when I was however old I was in the 80s. So I was probably about 10. So it's that dream that I had was I'd love to play this. I'd love to play this and I'd love it to look like this. That is coming. I had to wait until I was 42, but it's coming. So luckily I'm still a big kid. But that game is coming and it's coming out later this year. So Platinum Games have been developing this game since about 2014. So they've had a good year and a bit. And it will be coming out by the end of the year and it's looking fantastic. And at the moment there's just a very I think it's about 2.5 minute trailer. But the screenshots alone are enough to make me want to pre-order this game.
Yeah, it looks totally awesome. I'm so happy that it's coming out. And the Platinum Games, they've got such a sort of reputation of being developers that can put out top, really tightly controlled playable games like Bayonetta. I don't think they've made a bad game. Well, there is one bad game that they have made. There's only one and I can't remember the title of it at the moment. But yeah, they've got such a pedigree that you can sort of rest assured that this is going to be the next great Transformers game. We got a 7/8 out of 10 game on the 360, which we've talked about before, which I think was Fall of Cybertron.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was a really great game. But if this turns out to be as good as it looks, that game's not going to have a patch on this. This is going to send people wild, even if you're not a Transformers fan. I mean, I liked Transformers, but I didn't follow the story, so I don't really know that much about the ongoing story and stuff. I just picked up what I could from Fall of Cybertron, but I thought that was so cool. But I'm just looking at the graphical style of this game, and the trailer, and the way that it plays, and I'm so excited about it. And it's got a bit of from what I believe, a bit of a Bayonetta sort of playability mechanic where you can sort of slow down time if you do so many hits correctly, you can, or so many dodges correctly, then you can slow down time and start to sort of unleash hell on your enemies in the game. And yeah, it just looks great. It looks like you say, it's every 80s kid's dream was to actually play a game that looked like the Saturday morning cartoon that we used to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is nailing it. It is just nailing it so much. I think just before E3, they put out a screenshot. There was one screenshot of kind of Optimus Prime battling Megatron, and instantly that grabbed me, and I was like, hold up a second, okay, let's wait, let's see it running. And then when they showed it running, and it just looks like it's just fantastic. Even the kind of clouds when they're kind of scraping the floor, and that it just looks like the TV show, and not in a bad way, in a good way, in the way that my memory remembers it rather than how it is. Because I know sometimes when you go back and watch old TV shows from when you were a kid, some of them don't stand up. I know recently Netflix released Danger Mouse, and I started watching a couple of those, and I was like, yeah, it's not very good, is it? But Transformers Devastation, living up to my brain, and I can't wait to play it later this year. And
it's funny how our brains sort of give an HD makeover. It's a dynamically ongoing thing to everything that you've ever seen, so that in your memory, you sort of see it exactly as I'm looking at this screenshot now. But when you go back, it's sort of grainy and nasty. But yeah, you get it. Your brain just does you the favour of completely giving this HD gloss to everything that in your kid banter vault.
Absolutely. You know, the first thing I saw when I watched like Danger Mouse the other day was it was 4:3, obviously, because we're that old. So straight away you're like, we watch Square TV, you know. Again, and in your mind it was like this widescreen, and it was cell shaded, and it was fantastic. It was still funny. I still laughed at a few places, but yeah, no, it hasn't stood up. So yeah, though, I can't wait to play this, and it's already kind of available to pre-order, which I did. So I can't wait to play this game. It's going to be an interesting one. I think, you know, it's got the makings of what could be a very interesting kind of bum bash, like you say, a very kind of Bayonetta-esque game. And you know, the fact that I can just kind of have a bit of a fight, transform, and then maybe drive away, and then come back, and then that for me is heaven.
Yeah, if it's got this sort of Bayonetta mechanic where you can just like attack and dodge and build up a dodge combo, and that equals this slow down time sort of thing, and then you can really go ballistic on everyone. But it's all about the skill, a bit like you're building it up. The way I could sort of, obviously like Bayonetta, but it's also, if you haven't played Bayonetta, a little bit like holding onto a combo on Tony Hawk's skateboarding, the sort of first two, you know, when it was good. That sort of that knife edge between losing it and keeping it, and you've really got to, you know, hold your game to do it, and the feeling of reward for that, and just stacking that combo. I hope it's got a sort of combo feature in there of stacking the combos and multipliers and things like that, and awesome jaw-dropping set pieces, you know, proper explosions and Transformers. They've got all the ammunition. They've got the basis there to go wherever they want with that for stunning set pieces, explosions, and battles both on the ground and in the air. So and even in space, you know, the sky's the limit with this game.
No, absolutely. But all I can say is that Platinum Games, they must have multiple studios on multiple tiers, because if you think about it, at the moment, Platinum Games are making Transformers Devastation, Star Fox, and also Scalebound as well, aren't they? So, you know, they're three kind of big titles covering all platforms, and so they're incredibly busy studio at the moment.
Yeah, from sort of obscurity as well. You know, they've slowly been padded away at making quality games, and they've got the recognition now, and they've done their work, and they're reaping the rewards, and they're making even more brilliant games, but with the backing behind them to make them of actual licensed stuff that we've heard of and things like that. So yeah, the great developer, and what's hopefully going to be a great game.
Absolutely, and they also hold the license to Darksiders as well, don't they? So when THQ went bust or closed down, they bought the Darksiders license. So they have that as well.
Yeah, they do, and that's
very
a great
interesting
game. And yeah, who better to make that game even better? They'll get it from that 7/8, hopefully up to the 9, because at the moment, and I hope they don't run out of steam, because like you say, that they're working on a lot of projects at the moment. Whatever they touch, they seem to be able to turn it to gold or platinum.
Hey, and with that lovely joke, that's about it
on
for
that
this episode. Yeah, I'll wrap it up quickly. No, that's about it for this week's episode. All that remains to say, as always, is big thanks for listening, and we can't wait to kind of get back to you next week and continue this gaming chat with news and features. So, as always, you can keep up with us at gamersoftheLostSpark.com. You can also find us on Facebook and also on Twitter, where we're at Lost Spark Pod. Darren, where can we find you if people don't know already?
Yeah, you can get me on PS4, Xbox One, and Twitch under the gamer tag, stroke PSN ID, etc. as Wythamator. I've got a channel on YouTube called Daz a Gamer, and Daz Whittam is my Twitter name as well.
Fantastic. And for me, I'm Chessman on Xbox Live. I'm I'm PS-Chessman on the PSN, and Chessman UK on Twitter. So if you have any feedback, please send it to our email address, and that email address is feedback@gamersoflostspark.com. Keep an eye on Twitter for updates, news articles, features, and more about the upcoming episodes. And of course, you can subscribe to us on iTunes and then get those new podcasts delivered to you when they're available. If you have any feedback, please, like I say, send it to feedback@gamersoflostspark.com, or feel free to leave us a rating on iTunes. So that's about it. So we'll see you next week. Catch you later.
Bye, everyone. See you next week.